The hall shimmered with chandeliers, their glow bouncing off the glittering dresses and tuxedos of MAF's elite. Tonight, the Obianaju mansion was alive with laughter, applause, and well wishes, all directed toward the young woman standing at the center of it all, Chiamaka. It was her 25th birthday, and the room buzzed with excitement as guests anticipated her big announcement. But inside, Chiamaka's heart pounded with fear and anticipation. Her parents thought she would be announcing her official entry into the family business, Obianuju Enterprises. Yet, Chiamaka had a different plan. As her father tapped his glass, signaling everyone to quiet down, Chiamaka felt her palms grow clammy. Her mother's eyes sparkled with pride, while her father's gaze held the usual cool authority, a reminder of what was expected of her. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my daughter," her father's voice boomed. "Today, she steps into her rightful place beside me. I have no doubt she will honor the legacy of our family and the business we have built." Chiamaka swallowed, her voice trembling as she took the microphone. "Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight," she began, glancing at her parents, whose faces shone with pride. "But," she continued, feeling a surge of courage, "there's something I need to share." The room grew silent, her parents' smiles faltering as they sensed something was wrong. I want to pursue a career in art," Chiamaka said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've always had a passion for painting, and I believe that's my true calling." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Her mother's face turned pale, and her father's brows knitted together in disbelief. "This is not a joke, Chiamaka," he said, his tone sharp. "It's not a joke, Papa," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I want to follow my dream." The silence was shattered as her father's voice thundered through the room. "A dream? Your place is in the family business, not in some art studio." He turned to the crowd, his voice trembling with anger. "I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly my daughter has gotten carried away." As Chiamaka watched her parents apologize on her behalf, a tear slipped down her cheek. Her dream, her passion, felt crushed under the weight of their expectations. She glanced at the guests, some shaking their heads in disapproval, others whispering behind their hands. In that moment, Chiamaka realized this wasn't just a birthday party, it was a turning point. The desire for freedom burned within her as she decided, right there, that she would find a way to follow her own path, no matter what it cost her. After the disastrous birthday party, Chiamaka feels more alone than ever. Seeking solace, she decides to go for a walk the next morning, far from the grand mansions and luxury cars of her neighborhood. She ends up in a nearby market, where she meets Adaobi, a humble but kind young woman around her age. Adaobi lives a modest life, selling handcrafted jewelry in the market, but she's refreshingly honest, lively, and free from the strict expectations Chiamaka endures. Through Adaobi, Chiamaka starts to learn a different way of looking at the world. Adaobi's stories of family, community, and self-expression contrast sharply with Chiamaka's life of wealth and control. They quickly become friends, though Chiamaka knows her parents would never approve of the friendship. As Chiamaka wandered through the bustling market, her eyes caught a glimmer from a small jewelry stall. Intrigued, she moved closer and found herself face to face with a young woman with a bright smile and a colorful headscarf. "Hello. You have an eye for beauty, I see," the young woman said, holding up a pair of intricately beaded earrings. "These are my latest pieces." Chiamaka returned the smile, feeling an instant warmth from the girl. "They're beautiful," she said, her fingers grazing the beads. "Did you make them?" "Yes," the girl replied proudly. "I'm Adaobi, and you?" "Chiamaka," she replied. Adaobi was different from anyone she had met before, full of laughter, with a spirit that seemed untamed. For the first time in ages, Chiamaka felt free to be herself. They began talking, and soon Chiamaka found herself sharing her troubles, her fears, and the controlling grip her family had on her life. Adaobi listened intently, nodding. "If you truly want to be happy, Chiamaka, You have to listen to your heart. No one else can do that for you. As Chiamaka walked home that evening, she realized Adobe had planted a small seed of courage in her heart. Inspired by her conversation with Adobe, Chiamaka decides to explore the art world in secret. She finds a small, lesser-known art studio in the city and starts attending evening classes without her parents' knowledge. Each lesson awakens her passion more and more, but the secrecy and fear of being caught begin to weigh heavily on her. At the studio, she meets others who share her love for art, including her instructor, a kind and supportive mentor who senses her inner struggle. He encourages her to paint from her emotions, leading her to discover feelings she has long kept hidden. The small studio was dimly lit, its walls covered in splashes of color from students' works in progress. Chiamaka felt a thrill as she dipped her brush into the paint, hesitating only a moment before bringing it to the canvas. Her hand moved slowly at first, but soon she was lost in the colors, letting her emotions flow freely. "Beautiful strokes," her instructor said gently, standing behind her. "But tell me, why do I feel sadness in them?" Chiamaka paused, surprised. "I suppose, because I feel trapped," she admitted softly, "like I'm expected to live a life that isn't mine." He nodded knowingly. "Then let the canvas hold your story. Here, you can be whoever you want, free from anyone's control." For the first time, Chiamaka felt the weight lift from her shoulders. In this studio, with a brush in hand, she could truly be herself. While attending art classes, Chiamaka meets Kane, a fellow artist with a humble background. He is compassionate, encouraging, and deeply connected to his roots, a stark contrast to the wealthy suitors her parents often introduce her to. They quickly bond over shared dreams and struggles, and Keen becomes her confidant. The more time Chiamaka spends with Kane, the more she feels her heart drawn to him. However, Chiamaka knows her parents would never approve of Kane, seeing him as beneath her. Despite the risks, she continues seeing him, torn between her love for him and the expectations she has been bound to all her life. "Chiamaka," Kane said one evening, as they strolled through the quiet streets after class. "Have you ever thought about what it would be like to live life on your own terms, free from all this control?" She looked up at him, her heart aching with both hope and fear. "Every day," she whispered, "but I don't know if I have the strength to do it." Kine took her hand gently. "You do, Chiamaka. The strength is already in you. You just need to believe in it. Believe in yourself." In that moment, as she looked into his warm eyes, Chiamaka realized she was not alone in her fight. For the first time, she felt a new strength growing within her, fueled by the love and support Keen offered her unconditionally. As her bond with Kane deepens and her art flourishes, Chiamaka's relationship with her parents begins to fray. They sense her growing independence and try to tighten their control. They make subtle, and not so subtle, remarks about her lack of focus and start pressuring her to settle down with a suitor of their choice. Chiamaka faces constant inner turmoil. She knows she has to decide between following her own dreams or maintaining her family's expectations. This chapter captures her struggle, balancing her love for her family with her need to find herself. "Chiamaka," her mother said one evening, her voice laced with concern, "you've been spending far too much time on hobbies. When will you begin to think seriously about your future?" Chiamaka's hands clenched under the table. "Mama, painting isn't just a hobby, it's what I love." Her father's gaze was sharp. "Love won't secure your future. We have provided everything for you, and all we ask is that you honor our family's legacy. You will understand once you grow up." Chiamaka's heart ached. She wanted to scream, to tell them that she felt suffocated, but as she looked into her parents' stern faces, she found herself falling silent. Deep down, she knew the choice ahead of her was going to be a painful one. These early chapters established Chiamaka's internal conflict and the beginnings of her journey towards self-discovery. Her parents soon find out about Keen, labeling him as low class and forbidding her to see him. Chiamaka's relationship with her parents grows strained as she tries to stand up for herself, balancing her desire for independence with her love and respect for her parents. She suffers under the pressure of their expectations and her own self-doubt. Chiamaka persuades her parents to let her study art under the condition that she will take on the family business afterward. It's a small win, but it gives her hope. Chiamaka flourishes in the art world and becomes a local success, while her relationship with Kane deepens. But tension with her parents grows as they suspect she's planning to abandon their legacy. Chiamaka discovers that her parents have set up an arranged marriage with a wealthy suitor. Heartbroken, she feels torn but reluctantly agrees to protect her family's honor. She tries to maintain the facade, but secretly she continues her relationship with Kane and her passion for art. This hidden rebellion eats away at her, and she is forced to choose between loyalty to her family and loyalty to herself. A heated confrontation with her parents ends in an ultimatum: follow their path or leave the family. Chiamaka faces her toughest decision yet, and finally, she leaves. Chiamaka builds a life on her own, facing hardship but feeling free. She gains recognition in the art world, but her heart aches for the family she left behind. Eventually, she reconnects with her parents under tragic circumstances, realizing how much they still love each other. In a tragic but fulfilling ending, Chiamaka achieves her dreams but loses her father. She reconciles with her mother, who finally accepts her for who she is. Chiamaka mourns her father but feels at peace, knowing she lived true to herself.